The story begins in the vast, unforgiving heart of the Gobi Desert. A place that swallows sound, sight, and spirit. By day, the sun blazes mercilessly, burning the sand until it glows like molten glass. By night, the cold cuts like a blade, freezing the very marrow of those who dare to remain. Here, life is fragile. The desert does not forgive weakness. It does not grant mercy. It only takes. Into this desolation came a company. Men with machines, hope, and ambition. They came seeking oil, black gold buried deep beneath the sands. Weeks of labor passed. The drills screamed, engines roared, sweat soaked the earth. But in the end, the desert mocked them. Their data was wrong. Beneath this endless ocean of sand, there was nothing. No oil, no treasure, only emptiness. Defeated, the workers prepared to return home. Relief filled their tired faces when they saw the plane arrive. A sturdy aircraft, piloted by a man named Frank. Frank was a veteran of the skies, a pilot whose hands had guided countless flights safely to their destinations. By his side, his trusted co-pilot, cautious, steady, always watching the skies with wary eyes. One by one, the workers climbed aboard, eager to leave this cursed land behind. The roar of the engines brought comfort. As the plane rose above the dunes, many whispered silent prayers of thanks. They believed their nightmare was over. But the desert had not finished with them yet. Above the horizon, black clouds gathered like an army of shadows. The air grew heavy. The sky turned an ominous gray. The co-pilot, sensing doom, leaned toward Frank. "We should land," he urged, his voice sharp with unease. "The storm is too strong. Let's wait it out, then continue." But Frank, hardened by years of command, refused. "No, we keep flying." His words, spoken with certainty, sealed their fate. The storm struck with savage fury. Winds howled, tossing the plane like a toy. Lightning split the sky, searing the eyes of those inside. Rain hammered against the fuselage. The passengers gripped their seats, their knuckles white with fear. Then, a sickening sound, the left engine sputtered, coughed, and died. The cockpit filled with warning lights. Frank wrestled with the controls, sweat pouring down his face. He shouted, "Brace for impact." The desert does not forgive. The tail struck a rock. A deafening crash split the night. The rear door burst open. A man was flung into the storm, his body swallowed by the darkness. Inside, screams filled the cabin. The aircraft skidded across the sand, metal screeching, sparks flying. When it finally stopped, silence hung heavy. 2 more passengers lay lifeless, their bodies broken. The survivors were stranded. Around them stretched an endless wasteland. No roads, no rescue, only dunes as far as the eye could see. The desert was their prison. They inventoried their supplies. 1 month of food, a few containers of water. It would not be enough. A man, defiant and proud, rose to his feet. "I can walk out of here," he declared. "I've trekked before. I'll survive." But Kelly, the only woman among them, met his gaze with fierce honesty. "No, this is July, the hottest month. You'll be dead before you reach a horizon. You'll walk in circles until the sand takes you." Her voice cut deep. He sat down, broken. Their fragile hope crumbled further. That night, John Davis stepped outside. Perhaps to relieve himself, perhaps to think, but the desert claimed him. His foot struck a rock, he tumbled into the storm, disoriented, lost. By dawn, his place was empty. They searched, but John was gone. Another life stolen. Kelly's eyes filled with fear. She confronted Frank. "Will anyone come for us?" He lowered his gaze, his voice heavy. "We're too far off course. No one will find us." The words fell like stones into their hearts. Silence followed. Some wept, others stared blankly into the horizon. Then, chaos erupted. 2 men, desperate with thirst, fought over water. Shouts echoed. A container spilled. Precious drops soaked into the sand, vanishing forever. Panic gripped the survivors. Death seemed certain. But then, a voice rose above the chaos. Elliot, quiet, calculating, with eyes that missed nothing. He had once worked with aircraft parts. And now, his mind saw what others could not. "We can rebuild this plane," he said. "We can take what's left, and make something new. A smaller craft. One that can fly us out." The survivors stared at him, stunned. Was it madness? Or salvation? Frank laughed bitterly. "Impossible." But Elliot's eyes burned with conviction. "Not impossible. Hard. But possible. And it is our only chance." Slowly, one by one, they agreed. They would attempt the impossible. At night, sparks lit the desert like stars. Metal was cut, shaped, and welded. Blood mixed with sweat as they toiled. Hope flickered. But then, disaster. A spark ignited the fuel. An explosion ripped through their camp. Flames roared. When the smoke cleared, their fuel was nearly gone. Only enough for a single attempt. One flight, one chance. Failure was no longer an option. Still, they worked. Their hands blistered, their bodies weakened, but their spirits clung to hope. One night, as they struggled to lift a wing into place, the chain snapped. The wing fell. Silence followed. But fate intervened. The wing locked perfectly into place. For a moment, disbelief turned to laughter. They cheered. Their miracle had a name, Phoenix. The bird that rises from its ashes. But the desert was not empty. In the distance, tents appeared. Smugglers. Armed men who crossed the dunes with weapons and stolen goods. Desperate, Frank and others approached, begging for water. But mercy was not found. The smugglers turned violent. Guns roared. Men fell. Blood stained the sand. Frank and his group fought back, killing some. But one smuggler escaped, carrying hatred with him. Later, they discovered the smugglers had looted the body of their dead comrade. Rage boiled. The desert was not only nature's enemy, but man's. Tension grew. Elliot and Frank clashed. Words turned to fists. Elliot swore he would abandon the project. But Kelly begged him, "Without you, we are dead. Please, we need you." Elliot, prideful, demanded they all acknowledge him. Even Frank. And one by one, they did. Even the pilot lowered his head. "You are the boss, Elliot. Let us." But then came a revelation that broke trust again. Elliot confessed. He was not a great engineer. He had never built a real plane. Only models. Toys. Fury erupted. Guns were raised. Hope nearly died. But Elliot stood tall. Yes, they were toys. But toys obey the same laws. Balance is balance. And this will fly. That night, a storm came. The Phoenix shook. Lifted. For the first time, everyone saw it. It could rise. Their dream was real. At last, the runway was cleared. A strip of sand, leveled with bleeding hands. The Phoenix roared. At first, it sputtered, then died. Again they tried. Again. Until finally, it thundered to life. But the smugglers had returned. Horses thundered across the dunes, guns blazing. The survivors scrambled aboard. No seats. No safety. Only faith. Bullets whistled. Sand erupted. The Phoenix gathered speed. The runway's end loomed. The smugglers closed in. And then, the Phoenix lifted. Wheels left sand. Wings caught air. The desert fell away. Smugglers grew smaller, powerless, as the survivors soared above them. Cheers filled the cabin. Tears streamed down faces hardened by weeks of despair. Against all odds, they had flown. They returned to civilization. Their story spread across the world. Elliot's photo appeared in a magazine, beneath bold letters, NASA's New Hope. The Phoenix was more than a plane. It was proof. Proof that from ashes, life can rise. That hope can be rebuilt. That courage, even in the face of certain death, can grant wings. The desert tried to bury them. But instead, it gave them flight.